Nothing of note injury-wise, which is obviously good. Great team win. Very interesting conditions throughout, and those are the variables that you got to be aware of as a team, as us as coaches, the players, all of that. But for our defense to play, hold them the way we did, and I know they had a big play there at the end, but that's an explosive group. And then offensively, to be able to run it wasn't always pretty, but late in the game to be able to run it like that. And then, the play by Nick there at the end is indicative of the type of player he is. We told him, hey, get the first, and game's over, go down. We have a code word for that. And he said, yes, sir. And ripped down the sideline there and just did his job. And we're looking for smart, tough dudes, and Nick Chubb is that. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Hey, Coach, the first question will come from Fred Griefum.
Hey, Coach, yeah, you talked about a little bit how satisfying was that down the stretch when you had to run the ball after they scored to just go to the ground game and make it happen?
Yeah, Fred, we had to run the ball throughout that game. We were kind of in that mode from kickoff, just how those conditions were. So, and we knew what the conditions were. So then when you get in those moments when a first down ends the game, that's when you really lean on your guys to come through, and they did. So credit to the runners, obviously, but anytime we're running with success, it takes the receivers, it takes the tight ends, it takes the fullback as well.
Thank you, Fred. The next question goes to Scott Petrick.
Hey, Kevin, just how bad were the conditions from a passing perspective especially?
They were legit. At a couple times, my call sheet almost flew out of my hands. That was I've never been a part of that type of win.
Worse than the Raiders game?
I thought so, yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Scott. Next up is Mary Kay Cabot.
Yeah, Coach, can you just kind of address the two-headed monster that you do have with Chubb and Hunt, because it just seemed like they kind of fed off of each other and sort of inspired each other to do the next great thing.
Yeah, Mary Kay, I think they do inspire each other. I think they push each other. Kareem got dinged there for a second, so Nick went in, and then Kareem was ready, so Nick went back in, Kareem went back in, and Nick just came out. Nick just – those two guys do their job. They do it obviously at a high level, but they are all about the team, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Kay. We'll go to Nate Ulrich for our next question.
Hey, Kevin. With this being Nick's first game back in a long while, what made you guys stick with him, even though, the running average wasn't big time early on, and then you give him those 4 consecutive carries at the end of that touchdown drive? What kept you sticking with him despite that start?
Yeah, we just were in constant communication with him throughout the game. We had a number in mind to get to with him, but we were only going to get there if he was comfortable. And really throughout, he was feeling good. So we talk about it. I think Stump Mitchell does an outstanding job in that regard and understanding those guys and where they are. And Nick was feeling good.
And do you think that, late third quarter, early fourth quarter, when he really started to get going, and then Kareem did obviously too, do you think that was a matter of wearing the Texans down, or those two guys finding an extra gear? What do you think happened?
Yeah, I think a physical game like that, typically you do find some yards late in the game when you're cutting them, when you're moving them. So I think that played into it.
Thank you, Nate. Zach Jackson has our next question.
How much did that affect how you put things together in your final?
I missed the first part of your question.
What day was it when you found out that the forecast was going to be this bad, and how much did it affect what you guys did coming in with the game plan?
Yeah, we look at it early, but really not until Thursday afternoon, Friday, do you really put any stock into the weather report. No disrespect to Weather Bug, but really once we saw on Friday what it was coming, we made sure that we talked about it as coaches, the coordinators, myself, and really get on the same page for what this game was going to entail.
Jeff Shadell, you have our next one.
Hey, Kevin, not from a strategic standpoint, but what did you guys learn about yourselves from that game 2 weeks ago when the weather was bad. You handled it so much better today.
Yeah, I think it's a totally different game. It really was. In that game a couple weeks ago, we didn't have many possessions, and I thought our defense did a really nice job today, forcing some punts. They battled. Again, that offense, that team, coached by Coach Grinnell, I have a ton of respect for them. And then that quarterback in particular, the way he spun out a couple times, we've all seen that before. So it was not going to be easy regardless of the conditions, but I thought our defense really, really strained today.
Kevin, I'm kind of following up on Jeff Shadell's question. We've seen the last couple of games that it's not always going to be an offensive explosion. How important is it for your team to learn how to win these kind of games that you have to grind out?
Yeah, Tony, we're looking – we always talk about how do we win this game. We're not worried about the game before or the game coming after. So what's this game? And you oftentimes have variables that are evolving, and the weather was a variable today, and it might be a variable next week. Your matchups for sure versus the opponent, who's available to you on offense. So we take all that into account and just try to put together a game plan to win this game.
Jason Lloyd has our next question.
Kevin, you touched on it in your opening, but it's pretty tempting to score, I think, for running back. Were you surprised that Nick passed it up?
I wouldn't have been mad at him if he scored, but we told him, our code word for that, I guess it doesn't, I can let you guys know, but our code word is no mas. And we told him that before the third down. And you're thinking, gain the first and go down. Well, he gained the first and more. So I would not have been mad at him, but knowing Nick, you tell him to do something, he's going to do it.
What about the gamblers and fantasy players?
No comment.
We'll take two more, Scott Petrick and Mary Kay Cabot. Scott, go ahead.
Hey, Kevin, your defense has had a lot of trouble getting off the field on 3rd and 4th downs and kind of relying on the takeaways. So how nice is it to see them get some stops and win a game without having to get a takeaway?
That's a great point, Scott. We're always going to be looking to take the ball away. And then there's moments where they don't present themselves or the offense does a great job. So, credit to them in that we weren't able to get one, but the ability to get off the field on 3rd and 4th down is just so big. And I should say that what you do on 1st and 2nd down really matters in terms of where the 3rd down distance is. So felt like they had some 3rd and longer today, which makes it more advantageous to your defense.
And then I guess specifically on that 4th and goal where Miles stops Deshaun on that quarterback draw, just what kind of a turning point?
Yeah, huge points right there. And they called the number of their guy, which I understand, and then our guy made the play.
Thanks.
Thanks, Scott. Last one, Mary Kay.
Yeah, Coach, can you just address how your team has sort of handled a weird week? I mean, you didn't have Baker in the first part of the week, then you had a COVID scare, then you had a weather delay at this game, and I don't know. Can you just kind of talk about what it says about your team?
Yeah, Mary Kay, they didn't blink. They were unfazed. And I told them in the locker room, this is 2020. But you shouldn't expect anything less. So I'm sure something else is coming, weather related, whatever it may be. But our guys understand that they're just going to deal with, control the things that they can control ultimately, and really just focus on playing good football.